Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Boardroom Minutes. And I'm Mark S. Brantley, and I'm glad you're tuning in today because we have an exciting topic. And the topic is how I became a board director in 15 minutes. Yes, how I became a board director in 15 minutes. Now, before we dive into our topic, again, welcome back to Boardroom Minutes, which is your premier channel for clear, concise insights into the issues that shape today's boardrooms at for profit corporations, nonprofit organizations, and religious institutions like churches. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, why don't you do so by hitting the subscribe button? If you would like, you can in advance hit the like button, or if you want to wait until after this episode is enjoyed by you, and if it is beneficial, then you can hit the like button at that time. So let's get into our topic, which is how I became a board director in 15 minutes. Now, let me just say, because you may misinterpret the topic, that I became a board director in 15 minutes. No, what I'm going to do is explain to you my journey on how I became a board director in 15 minutes. So let's just get clarification. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you just can't wake up one morning and decide to become a director on a board. A director on a board is a very important position. It's a position of trust. You are a fiduciary. You're entrusted with the assets of those that are part or are a member of a credit union, or a shareholder in a corporation, or a member of a faith-based organization like a church. So it's a position of trust. It's a position of confidence. And depending on the size of the organization, you may be in charge of millions or billions of dollars. So it's something that requires intention. So, why don't I start with my journey? And that was back in 2005 when I stopped being an administrative law judge for the New York City Parking Violations Department. And lo and behold, when I was a member of a credit union and I was conducting a transaction at the counter, I saw a notice inviting members to become, or rather to apply to become a director on their board. Now, for starters, let me just suggest to you that that would be an easy way of first starting your journey on being on a board. Joining a credit union. If you're not on a credit union already, join one. Joining a credit union may cost $25 as an initial deposit to get a share, or $50, whatever the requirements are. And then, of course, if it's a employee based seg group, then you have to be an employee of the employer. That is the seg group. Or it could be a membership based on geographical location, or it could be a faith-based credit union, and all you have to do is be a member or part of a denomination that the credit union has as its membership. So that would be the first thing I would encourage you to do. Join a credit union. And then every year, there's an annual meeting, and there may come a time where there is a vacancy. So I happened to see this notice going back to 2005 for this New York City credit union, which was a multi-billion-dollar institution. And I applied, and I was called in for an interview. Now, they took an interest in me the first year, but there was no vacancies. Why? Because the nominating committee has the option of renominating incumbent directors that are on the board. And usually the vacancies are staggered. So this particular board had 12 members. So each year there were three directors that were up for reelection. So they had to be renominated. So, as part of the nominating process, I was called in to interview, and it's a nominating committee, but it wasn't a nominating committee of directors because there should be a certain level of impartiality. And you don't want directors nominating each other because then you'll have a perpetual board of the same directors regardless of performance. So, be it as it may, I did not get nominated because the current incumbents were renominated. However, on the third occasion, the third year that I applied, and it's going to take, again, intention. You have to be persistent about this if you desire to be on a board, whether it's a credit union or whether it's a faith based. You're going to have to be intentional. You're going to have to familiarize yourself with those that are on nominating committees or may be part of executive management or directors that sit on the board so that they can get to know you. Because again, it's a very important position. You're talking about the governing body of the organization. So on this third year, this third occasion, there happened to be a vacancy because one of the directors passed away. And as a result, they had to fill the vacancy. So I interviewed, and because they were familiar with me and they were impressed with my resume and how I interviewed the last couple of years, they decided to nominate me to become a director. And based on the nomination, my name was then put on the ballot. And then I was elected by the membership to sit on this board. And it was an awesome responsibility. And from there, I became the vice chairman of the board. And then eventually in 2009, I became chairman of a $3 billion institution. Actually, at that time, it was 1.1 billion. But over time, we more than doubled the asset size to $3 billion. And that was roughly around 2015. We were at the $3 billion mark. And it was a blessing to me, the experience I was able to gain and the achievements that through my leadership, and of course with the management team, the credit union flourished. And we had hit certain milestones, and other achievements were accomplished that I don't have time to go into. But it was a very fruitful and enjoyable, at sometimes tense, because you're dealing with other personalities. But I would not have changed anything other than some trouble that the credit union was involved in, disappointingly. And I don't have time to go into that. But I wouldn't trade anything but that for the world. But be it as it may, this position as a director on the credit union then placed me in certain areas within the credit union industry that launched my ability to get seats on other boards. I was on the board of the African American Credit Union Coalition, which is a African American trade organization, the premier African American trade organization for credit unions. And then I was, as a result of that, and also being on the New York City Credit Union Board, it gave me the ability to launch a seat on the Credit Union National Association's board, formerly known as CUNA, and now known as America's Credit Unions. And I sat uh, as the chairman of their volunteer leadership committee because directors, for the most part, are volunteers. And later, I became a director on the board of CUNA, now America's Credit Unions. So, in a matter of time from 2005 to about 2012, I was able to gain a seat on three credit union or credit union trade boards. And then I received a membership, or rather, I became a member of the NACD, which is the National Association of Corporate Directors. And that was about to open up other possibilities to get on boards of for-profit corporations. So this is what I'm saying is you have to be progressively intentional. But once you are able to break through and to get on a board, it will then lead to other opportunities where you can now branch out to have a seat on various types of boards. Currently, I am on a board for a international faith-based church organization where I am the the chairman of the board of trustees. And that's where I sit now, handling the affairs of a large church faith-based organization. And I'm proud to be a member of that board. And I'm utilizing my prior board experience in the credit union industry here, serving in a religious faith-based capacity. So that's four boards, three of which stemmed out of my experience as chairman of the board of a credit union. So it is possible for you to do it. But again, you have to be intentional. Whether it's a credit union or whether you are a shareholder for a corporation, or even if you're a member of a church, your church has a board of trustees. Some call them board of directors, but for the most part, faith-based organizations, churches, have boards of trustees. And there's no reason why you can't be a partaker of your governance, uh, your governing body, which is your board, assisting in the affairs and having the general management over the affairs of your church or religious institution. Now, you just can't jump up and expect to be in a position of responsibility as a fiduciary, right? Because as a fiduciary, you exercise the duty of care, the duty of loyalty, and the duty of obedience in that position. And the decisions that you make are important and crucial to the well-being of the organization. So you have to familiarize yourself with the people that are in your church, namely the pastor. He needs to know who you are. Remember, even in the Bible, where the seven deacons were chosen, they were known to have a good report. They were full of the faith. So Peter and the apostles knew them. And if you want to be on your church board of trustees, then your pastor needs to know you, the deacons need to know you, and the members need to know you because, again, it's a position of trust. So you have to position yourself so that others that have the ability to make a recommendation or to nominate you uh, are familiar with you. Now, you might say, well, look, I'm not political. I don't believe in politics. I'm not really political either. But the scriptures, and as I mentioned before, when it comes to boardroom minutes, I like to interweave scripture because I'm biblically based. I'm a preacher as well as someone that is versed in business and governance. So you have to you're going to offer your expertise, but how do they know what your expertise is unless you put yourself in the position for it to be known? And that's why you have to volunteer. Whether it's you can volunteer at a not-for-profit or a nonprofit organization. And as you begin to volunteer and offer your services, then your expertise will be made known. And before you know it, you're invited onto a board. So that is how I became a board director in 15 minutes. Now, I have 15 seconds here. And while I have these remaining seconds, I hope this was beneficial to you and encouraging. So I want you to hit that like button if it was beneficial. And if not, then wait till the next episode. And if it's better, then you like it there. And again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, why don't you do that? All right. Marcus Brantley signing off for another episode of Boardroom Minutes. Take care and see you next time. Bye.